Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to Mechabellum. Today's video is going to be all about the Titans because they're very popular at the moment, and the question is, which one is better? Is it going to be the War Factory or is it going to be the Mountain? I'll be up against Math is Might, one of 501's strongest. He was sitting at around 2.3k MMR at the time of, when this game took place. So it's about as high MMR of a matchup as you'll really get on the ladder. And well, the game has some other spicy things going on as well, starting with my starting pack, Mustang Crawler. Definitely not something that I am going to pick often. Most people regard Mustang openers as relatively weak. They have a lot of bad matchups, specifically against stuff like sledgehammers. Arc lights as well are often a pain, and it can be hard to kind of get going because Mustangs, they tend to not be enough as a source of chaff clear. They're especially quite bad into crawler, and you will often need to add arc lights just to, make up for the lack of chaff clear, and, well, whole host of problems that can show up. The reason I went for it is I have a lot of hit points here. Speed spec is very nice for aggro openers, and a lot of people currently like to pick saber openers. Saber openers are probably the best at the moment, and, well, Mustang are pretty good into saber starts because, well, at least you should start with nothing but small units, and that's not exactly what saber is supposed to deal with. So that was the idea. Now it doesn't really work out. Opponent is cost control specialist, starts with sledgehammers and hounds, adds some crawlers. Saving grace here is that he does have that stat debuff, so maybe it's going to be a little bit easier for my Mustangs to get through. And yeah, this game is going to have quite a few spicy picks here and there, especially in the early game. Now let's have a look at how this goes. I decided to add some Void Eyes because I felt like I needed a little bit of extra DPS, and Void Eyes can function as a frontline unit. Now, mind you, I'm not running Absorption at the moment, which would be ideal to have some sort of frontliner. Just kind of click the tech, forget about them. I'm not running it. I'm running like kind of full carry techs. I'm trying to experiment a little bit with the Void Eyes. And yeah, still, they're decently tanky. They're quite good into the hounds. And yeah, look at this. That's not a bad round by any means. We don't get a debuff, and it looks like we should lose, but managed to take out pretty much most of his units there, only leaving 4 sledgehammers alive. I'm not too unhappy about that, and, well, we had the hit points to be able to take some hits in the early game. Round number 2, immediately we have unit reinforcements. Farseer available. It got massively buffed in the most recent patch, so that is always worth, a consideration. Fangs here, I could pick up. It's nice to have the deployments, but I felt like I needed some frontline, and I was thinking, okay, what do I want to buy against hounds and sledgehammers? And I'm thinking to myself, well, Assault Mode Marksman sure seems like a pretty decent answer to both of those questions. It's good frontline, and it's very good against mid-sized units like the ones he has. What it's not so good against is EMP. Luckily, he's not running EMP. He's running range, anti-air, photon coating, and burst. I'm currently running the exact same setup. Also, I'm opting not to have the EMP because I'm running kind of the full carry text, but have a look at that. Level 3 Assault Mode Marksman. One-shotting 3 sledgehammers there. That's a very nice pack, or a very nice result, rather. And it does seem like we're getting flanked a whole bunch. Crawler seemingly on my left flank, and a pack of hounds, I believe, spawning in on my right. Managed to deal with that relatively quickly, though. And, well, we will get debuffed, but we should be able to win this. We can speed things up. My other assault marksmen seem to have died, but that's quite alright. We managed to bounce back immediately with the help of that unit reinforcement. And, yeah, the Farseer wasn't able to prevail. So, immediate bounce back. And we're keeping a nice lead here in terms of hit points already. Round number 3, we have Subsidized Crawler, Shield Airdrop and Efficient Tech Research. Now, I was thinking about Subsidized Crawler because I have a few of them, and I might just try to kill these hounds with the help of the crawlers, but for now there isn't any levels available, so I decided to just go for the Shield Airdrop instead, as it gives me kind of instant tempo here to try and protect my units, and it's always nice to have this shield come back off cooldown. You get it on round 3, it'll be back very, very quickly. And especially late game, it can be nice not to have to spend 100 on a shield generator. Now, Here I'm thinking, okay, let's level up the Void Eye first. And then how am I going to deal with these crawlers? Because this one picked up a level, and it does seem like he picked it. So I have to be a little bit careful. I'm thinking, would it be worth just going for Impact Drill? Because the Hounds currently can't one-shot my crawlers at equal level. And with how close they are, Impact Drill should do quite a lot. Opponent manages to pick up the range already. I think he did so last round, if I'm not mistaken. Picks up the burst as well on his Farseer. So lots and lots of techs available here. Did pick up the efficient tech research. I didn't go for it because I already teched my marksman once. And yeah, I just valued the shield here. You do go for Impact Drill. I add a marksman here on the left because just in case he levels those crawlers, we have a little bit of backup. Seems like the crawlers do just fine though, and they managed to pick up a level instantly, so that's going to be nice in that mirror on the flank. Shield sadly will go down, and have a look at the burst tech. This is such a ridiculous tech, by the way. It is quite crazy. I've played it with it quite a bit, and I've faced it a lot as well. And it just keeps surprising me. It doesn't really seem to have a massive downside. I guess here it is wasting a lot of shots, but generally speaking against clumps like this, it does a pretty good job of chaff clearing. And mind you, when it's shooting at single targets, it has 2.4x DPS. That is very significant for a tech that's that cheap. Now, we do manage to win the round, if only marginally, but I'll take it. I feel like I'm still kind of in the process of setting up. And round number 4, Subsidized Marksman shows up. Enhancement module can be good, but I wasn't planning to play Giants right now, and I tend to default more towards Titans anyway if I really need to buy something big, and obviously we can't use the enhancement module on that. So I decide, why not just try the Subsidized Marksman? I already have quite a few, but I'll be able to buy some more, and maybe we can high roll into a additional deployment slot. That way we could buy even more of them. But yeah, I mean, it was a stream game as well, so I mean, how can you say no when you're already into Assault Mode Marksman to those subsidized ones? And here I'm thinking, do I want to... I really wanted to get range if I could, which would put me down to 100 resources, but I'd be able to still buy 2 level 1 marksmen, and maybe that's just good enough. Sometimes you just have to, you know, take off the band-aid, rip it off in one go, take the hit to your economy. You know, you don't really want to spend the 500 this early, but at least it's on the bar now, and we can spend our next few rounds kind of, yeah, making our board stronger, getting other deployments. Burst Farseer, though, yeah, that does deal with my marksman pretty quickly. Flanks seem to be just fine, as the impact drill just kills the crawlers and the hounds without too many problems. And they're even arriving onto this Farseer, but look at that. That's an entire pack of crawlers basically just getting deleted in one salvo. And it seems like we're gonna lose this round pretty handily too. 3 Farseers left alive. I mean, we're looking at like 1200 damage or so. That's yeah, that's a sizable amount of hit point damage. Round number 5, no unit reinforcements, but Subsidized Crawler shows up again. And this time I'm thinking, well, I did click Impact Drill, and it seems like they're doing okay. I mean, I'm farming on the sides here, so why not pick up the Subsidized Crawler? I think I did pick up a level here on this crawler for free. Of course, we'll need 3 levels for this card to pay off, but hey, why not? It's a bit of a memey start of the game here with Assault Marksman and Subsidized Crawlers with Impact Drill, but you know, we're not doing too poorly, although I am a little concerned about these Farseer. They did get out of control relatively quickly last round. I decided to pick up another crawler, and then I elite recruit 2 more marksmen, I believe. One on the right to try and lock onto these hounds, and then one here kind of to support these 2 marksmen against this this sledgehammer pack. I also go for a missile on the right and the left. I'm just trying to get some tempo back. I was hoping that I could hit both of the hound packs. Seems like we're only going to hit one, as the opponent did add some crawlers here. But I feel like I can afford to go for some missiles, since I am gaining quite a lot of resources here from the Subsidized Marksman card, and then of course we have the Subsidized Crawlers helping out as well. And it's important here just to kind of keep, you know, my hit points to a relatively healthy total. Seems like we're doing okay left side. I mean, it's, you know, the Farseer there is doing a pretty decent job, but marksman locking on early, and we have enough chaff arriving late with, I think, a Mustang in there. Okay, it did die sadly, but I think I saw a Mustang getting pushed forward, crowd surfing on those crawlers. And, well, we do manage to win, so I'm pretty happy about the outcome there. Happy that I did spend the missiles. Getting rid of those hounds with double tech now makes a big difference, and there it is. Additional deployment slot. I mean, that's a card you're very happy to see when you pick something like Subsidized Marksman, because now, all of a sudden, you're no longer deployment capped to 3, you can buy 4. And if you buy 4, well, you're going to make 200 around, right? Maybe I don't want to keep buying Marksman. I'm currently not running the shooting squad, which I was a bit sad about. I did have it on the bar relatively recently, but then I took it off because I never clicked it. And then, of course, this is the game where I would have probably wanted to click it. But hey, it is what it is. We just buy more marksmen here. Elite recruited, of course. We can buy one more if we need to. Looks like I'm going to undo. And, okay, we're going to go 1 crawler and then triple marksman. I do have to build some chaff. Again, I don't run shooting squad. If I did, I would have been able to just spam marksman and then eventually, you know, get those fangs from that tech. But without it, I do need to be a little bit careful. And, of course, I don't want the Farseer to just be shooting at nothing but marksman, because with the burst, they're definitely better against that than against chaff. I think they still chaff clear pretty decently, even with burst, but I need to make sure that, you know, my most important units aren't getting insta-locked. Left side, I'm going to use my shield that's back off cooldown. We're going to put a level 2 marksman there and some crawlers as well. I'm just trying to distract some of these units, and hopefully we'll be able to get in a bit quicker. Opponent thinking about impact drill by the looks of things. I do decide to go for high mobility here, get that temp speed. Goes for underground, or well, subterranean blitz, the tech is called instead. I was a little surprised about this, but I guess he just wants to, yeah, really annoy my chaff clear, which right now is less than ideal, for sure. It's just really the assault marksman, and then I've got a couple stangs unteched, and, well, I have got crawlers with impact drill, I guess. Marksman top left doing a decent job. He did have to spawn in, so we'll eventually die to that Farseer. Meanwhile, though, right side doing just fine. Crawlers going to make it to tower. Not triggering the missile, but looks like another successful round. We're not going to do much damage, as is kind of, well, a very normal thing when you're playing nothing but small units, but a win nonetheless, and we head into round number 7. Now, round number 7, a bunch of big units show up, and now is when I'm starting to think, okay, I might need to get into a Titan. So I decided to pick up the Raiden, which sells for 600. The Sabertooth would have been worth the same amount, if you include how much you would have to pay for it, right? You can sell it for 700, and then you subtract whatever you paid for it. And that allows us to get into the War Factory. Probably, I think I can say with confidence, the best unit on the patch currently, especially with that high explosive tech. It did get nerfed, but it's still so powerful. 150 for that tech is criminal, and it really doesn't suffer whatsoever from clicking it, right? Normally you'd expect it to lose attack and then be able, or struggle against bigger targets, but really it doesn't. Level 2 here, 13,000 damage per gun, and it has 4 of them, each shooting every 1.8 seconds. It absolutely shreds anything, and it also has 11.5 meters of splash. It is a monster, and the corner is typically going to be the safest place to put it, because you can kind of work together with the flanks to pull away units, and also to prevent any insta-locks, because, well, the crawlers here tend to be closer to anything your opponent can put there. With the beacon, we're going to try and get towards that tower, and that's going to be the round. Opponent goes for the Sabertooth, does opt to keep it, aims it straight at my marksman, so he's going to have a very bad time, but we'll have to see if we can take this down. It is awfully tanky too, at almost 100,000 hit points there. Yeah, marksman gets deleted instantly. But honestly, Void Eyes and Marksman here, not doing too bad of a job, I would say. That Saber is dying relatively quickly, and meanwhile, my factory is starting to get in. Managed to clean up everything, now making its way towards that tower. Does manage to get the debuff. We don't have too many units left alive on the right side, though. But left side, a bunch of marksmen are now coming in. Hopefully we can prevent a debuff. That would be lovely. either way, we still have a level 2 war factory at full hit points. Does look like we're going to lose that tower. Yep, hounds are going to finish it off. And meanwhile, sadly, this Farseer was left all alone by my factory. I guess the beacon not going high enough there. And now it's getting fired in the back. And will it be able... What is it doing? It's going to go for the crawlers that are on my second tower. I really thought it would turn there and just quickly get rid of that Farseer, but no such thing. So this Farseer just dealt 240,000 damage in one round. Oh well. At least it wasn't a massive loss, and we still have a good amount of hit points. But yeah, definitely not exactly what we were hoping for in terms of targeting. Round number 8, Lightning Storm shows up. And I do kind of have to pick one of the spells here. Now, there's also Mobilized Battleship, and I'm not going to lie, I just kind of ignored it. I forgot, for the most part, that it was offered. I was mostly thinking about this this storm, and maybe if it was any good against my board. And so I'm going to use it on the right. There's a fair amount of things that we can hit there. More crawlers showing up from the opponent. And, well, sadly, the back of my board is just completely open. So we are going to get debuffed here for certain. But hopefully the storm can kind of clean up some stuff. And we pick up a second tech on the factory. I do opt to keep it. Sometimes you'll see people kind of moving them left and right. Currently, I don't have the greatest amount of space here on the right. I guess I could put it here. I can't really put it on the line because, well, there's just no room left. And, well, let's see how this factory performs. I decided to keep it there. I felt like it was going to be hard for him to deal with this. Even if he puts down a melter, he can't really insta-lock. And you can see that we're being very annoying here. I'm trying to just put a sledgehammer in front of these hounds to prevent them from insta-killing crawlers. Of course, he does missile, but some of the crawlers will at least get in. And, yeah, well, sadly, we do get debuffed. Opponent gets the mountain with saturation bombardment, which will allow him to kind of overload the guns. And you can see the damage there is quite significant when he manages to lock onto my factory. Now, this was a bit hard to read because I got debuffed twice for a total of 18 seconds. So that, of course, made a big difference. And I'm going to take, well, pun intended, a boatload of damage on round number 8. It's going to put me down to 1200. So, not ideal. I definitely should have put something there to try and, you know, prevent an instant debuff, because now one more loss like that and we're just out of the game. Anyway, round number 9, we have more unit reinforcements, and I'm not really looking for anything here. The tarantulas are worth the most in terms of sell value. So I'm probably just going to pick that up, sell one, keep one on the board to help chaff clear, and then invest more into the factory. Once you're into factory, especially with overload and HE, this thing can basically do everything. It can chaff clear, it can deal with the biggest units, even things like mountain. You just need to give it some love. And it does have a level of available, so I felt like I should be able to win against this mountain with the level advantage, and of course not getting debuffed. Opponent, though, going for the range enhancement second and buys a second level 2 mountain here on the right side. I have a ton of money left as well. I sold one tarantula, the other one is right here in front of the crawler pack, just to help out with some chaff clear. We level up that factory, and now we still have enough money left to use some missiles and even elite recruit another factory on the right side. And we're going to go symmetrical because I wanted to try and, well, do something about this right side that was pushing in. Seems like he has a similar idea, or he predicts that I go for a factory. And yeah, we're going to have 2 showdowns between the big titans here, the ground titans that we have. Factory manages to insta-lock, but the mountain relatively quickly starts firing back, and with the overload, that factory is just gone. Left side, same thing. That was a level 3 factory, perhaps getting a little bit too close there with the beacon. But luckily, the marksmen do manage to win, and now we just got to get rid of those Farseer. Are we going to be able to, though? Right side losing, left side winning. The flank marksmen, somehow they're managing to survive as well. Bubble still intact. And how is this going to go? This tower is leveled, so it's not going to be too easy to take down. We do manage just to kill the Farseer there, but the hounds are going to take my tower, so I think that's going to be the round going over to Math. Luckily, though, it's not going to be too much units left alive, so I will be able to survive this. I'm going to go down to 732. Round number 10. Another shield airdrop shows up. Missile strike may be worth considering as well. Advanced offensive tactics, a bit too expensive. If I want that type of buff, I probably would just take the attack enhancement here on the tower. And honestly, we don't need it. We already have so much damage, right? We have the marksmen that get 50% bonus attack from the assault tech. We have the factory that just has an insane amount of base attack. So we should be just fine. Now, I decided to pick up a third tech, range, because I felt like moving in wasn't going to do the trick. Saturation bombardment is very good against factory if it manages to kind of insta-lock, right? As you saw there, I'm running in and I'm basically saying, here's the target that you can shoot at. And turns out that that's exactly what the mountain wants to do in this situation. So instead, I'm going to try and run away, create a little bit of distance, even though I do get outranged ever so slightly. And yeah, try and fire from a distance, because the benefit that I have over the mountain is my guns aren't overloaded, right? The factory is way more consistent in terms of picking its targets. It's got the 4 guns kind of shooting each direction, and then I've got the high explosive as well. So I should be able to chaff clear better, and then hopefully that will allow me to kind of lock on quicker whilst the saturation bombardment gets stuck on chaff. That's the idea. Opponent goes for acid crawlers, so I am pretty happy that I am running away, because running in certainly wouldn't have done me any good. And opponent goes for photon emission as well on the Farseer, so lots and lots and lots of stats on his board right now. Between the photon coating adding more tankiness and the acid potentially like boosting the DPS by a ton. Right side though, going a lot better this time with that range. And you can see on the left here as well, okay, factory kind of turned awkwardly. That sometimes happens with the beacon. But it manages to take down the factories, or not the factories, the mountains. The factories are the ones that prevail. And now Mathis Might is down to 2k, and I'm starting to think, okay, we might be in with a shot here. We had a couple of bad rounds, but that didn't look too terrible to me. Round number 11, improved firepower control system there is available, but I mean, what would I chuck it on? There's no real reason to do so. Opponent does pick it, throws it onto a Farseer, and I decide to pick, I believe, yeah, okay, the missile strike. He's going to try and hit the hound here, as it is facing a bunch of crawlers. You can see what I was doing on the flank is kind of gradually adding more and more chaff to really annoy the opponent and hopefully like keep distracting his stuff for as long as possible, and maybe even manage to get a tower debuff. I'm adding a first crawler here with a second crawler behind, so that if he missiles this, there's still a crawler left. I'm adding the sledgehammer in front of the hound so that it doesn't shoot at crawlers directly. I'm adding another crawler here to kind of distract the Farseer and maybe distract the mountain. We're just trying to buy time, because if I can buy time, my mountains or my factories, I keep messing it up. This is confusing. There's too many big titans in the game now. If I can buy time, then my war factory should be able to kill the mountain. Speaking of which, it now has a third tech, mountain plating. I'm not the biggest fan of this. I don't think it's mandatory. Of course, it will help a little bit. I mean, he will be blocking 2100 damage for every instance of damage it receives. But against a factory that deals 32,000 damage per shot, I'm not convinced that that's going to do all that much. It's a relatively cheap tech though, only 600 as a third tech, but wasn't really convinced it was going to do that much. We'll have to see though. It does break my shield instantly, and that means that he's able to land the oil. That'll slow down my factory, and it looks like the mountain this time around will manage to lock onto my factory first with all of its guns shooting at it. Marksman though manages to live on that flank. Hopefully it'll be able to take another tower. It does. Right side looking a lot better. Mountain dying. I think maybe even sitting inside of its own acid. And we managed to win another round. So suddenly things are pretty equal with 900 hit points for Math and 732 for myself. We're already in round number 12. Can you believe it? We bought, I think, a factory on round 7, and it's still around. In fact, we have 2 of them. Crazy stuff. Normally, those games don't go this long, but here we are. I decided to pick up the Phoenixes because this time around, I do notice that the Mobilized battleship is back off cooldown. So I'd say to myself, let's not lose in a very silly manner by not defending our backboard yet again. So I decided to put the level 4 Phoenixes all the way in the back. I also make sure that I add more chaff, and that way we should be completely safe. Now, I sell my factory here on the left, even though it is level 4, and I won't be able to buy it back at level 4. What it does allow me to do is have, well, first of all, a ton of money. I think I had like 3,800, which is crazy. But we spend it quick by elite recruiting 2 factories and putting them kind of further back. At this point, I'm saying, I don't want to get close to you at all with these acid crawlers that you got. So I'm just going to try and fight you from a distance. I know that he does outrange me. 155 on the mountains, 135 on the overload factories. But again, I might be able to kind of out-chaff clear him and just get better targeting overall. Also, I was hoping that maybe he would kind of stand in acid himself, and then it would make it way easier for me to kill his stuff. Of course, he does a photon coating for the first 20 seconds of combat, so there's a lot of ifs, but that was the idea. Definitely didn't want to stay on the front line. I felt like with the saturation and the acid, I wasn't going to win that. So let's see if this works instead. Opponent lights the oil on fire and adds even more fire to the board. The incendiary bomb Vulcans for a very nasty combination of oil and acid, or rather fire and acid. Those do stack. So fire will do 250% more damage if there is acid below it as well. Seems like we're doing alright though. However, this level 4 mountain is still alive. We do manage to take the tower, but sadly, the mountain isn't quite standing in the acid, which is just slightly further below it. Luckily, I do still have Phoenixes alive. Managed to get another tower. My factory, though, just driving through all of the acid. Taking a lot of kind of passive damage there, but seems like we will win. It's just not going to be quite enough to win the game. So, round 13, here we go. If this was a tournament, an in-game tournament, it would have been the final round. Round number 13. Nothing that interesting, to be honest. Laser sight, I guess, maybe worth picking up. Although I don't know what I would throw it on. I do pick up the laser sight. Oh, I throw it onto a Phoenix. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. We've actually managed to make it back to Lightning Storm, which is wild, because I picked it up relatively late in this game. That is definitely going to be a big boon, though. Very happy that I have that available. And now I'm thinking, I probably have everything I need. I could just take the level on this factory, and then the only thing I could see myself lose to is this acid, right? Like, that was kind of painful there at the end with us having to drive through it. So let's just buy a whole bunch of hounds with the sprinkler tech and put them really far back on the board, right? I want them to arrive late so that the Vulcans are already dead. Hopefully a lot of the hounds are dead. And then these hounds can kind of come in late, clean up the fire, clean up the acid, and hopefully they'll allow us to kind of forge a path for the war factories to get in. I also ranged my Phoenixes. I mean, at this point, we have so much money. It is crazy. You really have to play quite fast and make some quick decisions to spend all of it. Temp range, temp speed naturally have been clicked. We do have both of the tower enhancements at this stage of the game. Opponent decides to rebuy 2 mountains, put it all the way in the back of his board. This tower, last round, I decided to level to level 3, since it was my weak side, and I'm just kind of trying to stall. Whilst my right side is really the side that's trying to push in. And well, let's see. Presumably here going to be the last round with how low on hit points we are. Are the hounds going to be able to do anything? I can see some sprinklers there working already. And since the acid is coming from the crawlers, if we clean it up once, it's not going to somehow magically reappear, right? It's not like a scorpion is applying it over and over and over again. We do a decent job here clearing. Some acid puddles left though. But right side, we're getting in pretty easily, I would say. And also managing to take down that tower. Left side, the factory still alive, able to make good use of the debuff. And so that is going to be all she wrote. 13 rounds. What a slugfest of Titan on Titan violence. Started out with a pretty spicy comp, I would say, right? We had the Mustang start, we went into the Assault Marksman, managed to get Subsidized Marksman, additional deployment slot, even went for Subsidized Crawlers, which we made pretty good use of. You can see here, level 6 Crawler, some level 3s in there, this one level 4. We picked up a whole bunch of levels here just for free on all of the Crawlers, so that definitely paid off. And I would say Impact Drill did really well. The flank defense here held easily with the high-level Crawlers, just killing both his Crawlers and the Hounds that were behind. And yeah, it's a tricky matchup between Mountain and Factory. I still think Factory is way better because just the way that its guns work, the text that it has, it's so consistent. High explosive has basically no downside. With the recent buff to Factory attack, it basically just kills big stuff just as fast anyway, but it gets the benefit of also having that splash, so now it becomes a chaff clear unit, right? If you look at my board, I don't really have any dedicated chaff clear. I have some Assault Marksmen, which are fine, but, you know, against this amount of Crawlers, should struggle. But just because we have 3 factories with Overload and HE, we can get in quite easily. And that's the consistency that kind of the Mountain is lacking. If it manages to immediately lock onto a factory with the Saturation Bombardment tech, it will win. And we saw that, right? In some of the early rounds when I was moving in, it kills it. The problem is, it's not very consistent at chaff clearing, right? Unlike that factory. So, because of that, it's less efficient, and it means that even though I have less range, I'm able to push in much faster and just get the debuffs and then get some early lock-ons and still win. Yeah. Crazy, crazy game. I hope you liked it. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. Let me know down below what you think of the Mountain, what you think of the Titan, what you think of the current meta. Put it down there. If you want to stay up to date on the latest content, please consider subscribing. And if you want to see me play live, check me out on Twitch. With that being said, take care, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.